Welcome back to another video. Bruce here with 843 Fishing. Today we are doing a little project to our Ascend 12T kayak. That little project is coming by way of the YakGear Deluxe Anchor Trolley. I've been having some issues with staying set up and anchored on the Waccamaw River and in the inlets of either Murrells Inlet, Cherry Grove, or Pawleys Island, and that's all due to the tidal nature of the water. I pretty much don't have a problem anchoring up, but the way my anchor is attached to my kayak is a little ridiculous, and we are looking to solve that problem today with the Anchor Trolley by YakGear. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside the package, and then we'll look at what we need for tools to assemble this thing. So what we are dealing with here is the YakGear Deluxe Anchor Trolley. It utilizes Harken pulleys for smoother operation. Let's see what comes in the package. These are Harken pulleys, all plastic. I'm sure there is some type of ball bearing inside there, but it looks pretty smooth operation. You got two of those. So we got the two pulleys. We have the screws and the screw end protectors. So if they're coming through your canoe or kayak, you don't scrape your leg on them. We have some paracord, the directions, and I'm actually gonna go like this here, and we will dump this package right out into this beast here. So you've got your anchor ring, you've got 4 well nuts. The well nuts are for the pulleys, and then you got 2 pad eyes. You have a zigzag cleat, and you have this heat shrinking tube here for the end of your paracord. Let's go over some of the tools and see what we're going to need for this project. My favorite part, tools. We're going to need a drill. We need that drill. We need this 3/8 inch drill bit, okay? The only 3/8 inch drill bit that I have is this paddle bit here. I do not have a normal drill bit like this. You can use either or. However, I think the paddle bit is a better option than this type of bit. These bits here like to dance around, as opposed to this paddle bit having a nice sharp point. Once you press that into the plastic, it's gonna drill where you want it to drill. This one might, slide around a little bit and bore out the hole a little bit bigger than it needs to be. I don't think we're gonna have a problem. I'm pretty experienced with drills. I almost wanna say I'm a professional, but we're not gonna go that route, just in case I cut off a finger or something. This drill bit, the 3/16 of an inch drill bit, is for the rivets. These rivets are not your standard Home Depot, Lowe's, or Ace Hardware rivets. These rivets here are designed for plastic. The ones at the hardware stores, those are designed for metal. I'm pretty sure that people have used those standard hardware store rivets in the past and they've worked for them. But the thing is with those is they are designed for metal, and they put a lot more force on the back of the plastic in the kayak. And when they do that, it's quite possible that it will pop through, creating a bigger hole than what it went into. Now with these here, they're called tri-grip rivets for a reason. What they do is when they pop, it takes less force for them to pop, but they split into what looks like a Y behind the kayak. And that's what grips your pad eyes or your zigzag cleat to the kayak. So we're going to be using those. It did not come standard in the YakGear Deluxe. I watched a video on Facebook that said, I watched a video on YouTube that said that those rivets come standard in a YakGear Deluxe package, but that is not true. They only come with self-tapping screws. Now, my reasoning behind going with the rivets over the screws is because of sliding the kayak in the back of the truck, pulling it out, bumping it off of stuff. I feel like those screws are going to loosen up over time inside the plastic, and they're going to strip out, and I'm going to have to re-drill holes again in the future. At least with the rivet, I feel like it's a more permanent solution. Yes, these can break too, but I feel like they're going to hold up a lot better than what a screw would inside some plastic. Hollow plastic, mind you. We have our riveter for the rivets. We have a standard Phillips head screwdriver. I want to say it's a number 2. And this is for putting the pulleys onto the well nuts. Okay? You don't want to use a drill for that because you can over tighten and ruin it. We also have silicone. The silicone is for wherever we drill pilot holes for the rivets. The well nuts do not take any silicone. If you put silicone on the well nuts, you can ruin the well nut, and the well nut can slip through the hole, making that hole no longer usable. Nobody wants a 3/8 inch hole in their kayak. Got a lighter. I'm a non-smoker. Why I have a Kevin Harvick lighter is beyond me. However, we need it for the heat shrinking wrap that goes on the end of the paracord. Last but not least, couple wet rags, wipe our hands on, get that silicone off so we don't get sticky little silicone fingerprints all over the place, and to wipe around the pad eyes and the Zigzag cleat once we are finished, because I plan on putting enough silicone on there where I set it in, it's going to seep out the sides and make a mess. So it's cleanable silicone, and I'm just going to wipe it with a wet rag. I don't have my sawhorses with me today, so we are either going to throw the kayak up on top of this picnic table here, or we are just going to throw it in the grass in the park behind us, and we're going to go ahead and put it together that way. Let's go ahead and get this installation started. Let me get the kayak set up, and we'll be right back. How to choose what side you want your anchor trolley on. I don't know. I can't answer that question. I did not look at any videos. I did not do any research on it. However, on this particular kayak, my paddle clips are on the left side. So what I want to do is install my anchor trolley on the opposite side. I feel that having my anchor over the side with the paddle clip here is screaming for disaster. It's a recipe for disaster due to the fact that the anchor line could get pulled, pop my paddle out, and then we're going to have all kinds of problems. Yes, I did talk in one of my other videos that I want to get a paddle leash, and we won't have that problem, but I think it's best to go ahead and install the anchor trolley over here. So that's where we're going to get started. We're going to go ahead and put the pulley on the back, pulley on the front, and put everything together. So something I failed to mention, get yourself a Sharpie. That would have been helpful. They say to add your pulley about 12 inches away from the rear of the kayak. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to come over here somewhere with it. When you put your pulley on, you want your pulley, we're at the back of the kayak, so we want our pulley to face the front of the kayak. You want to try to get as high on this line as possible without going over the top of that line. And what I'm going to do is I put my well nuts and my screws into the pulley itself. I'm going to go ahead and put the pulley where I want it. And I am going to mark the holes. Once I got the holes marked, grab my drill and my 3/8 inch paddle bit, and there's no going back after this, guys. All right, no turning back. Being the well nuts are already attached to the pulley, you can just slide it in, the holes you just drilled, and now you tighten. I'm thinking alternating screws is probably the best way to go so you get even pull on the back of the kayak. You kind of want to just go until you feel the screws getting tight by hand. You don't want to over torque them, but you want to make sure that they are ultra snug. remember that rubber that is on the well nut is mashing up right now, and it is creating a watertight seal behind the hole. So that's pretty tight. That's pretty tight as well, and that thing is on there solid. Let's go ahead and move to the front. All right, and this is my concern with this kayak here. The way all this curves and it does this, you know, different variations here at the keel. I don't think I want to put my pulley up here, because you got to think, when you're cutting through the water is coming up here and splashing back down. I honestly almost feel like, they say a foot off the front of the kayak, I almost feel like I want to be back here with it. But even then, I feel like that's too much of an angle. So what I'm trying to do right now is guesstimate on whereabouts I want to add this thing. I've seen where somebody installed theirs even with the logo of the Ascend, and he said it worked out pretty good. So I'm thinking that's probably where I'm going to go, because you got to think, when you're cutting the water's going to come up here, and if we go here with it, it stays away from the water. So I'm pretty sure that's where we're going to go. I'm going to go a little bit more to the back, I believe. Slide the pulley in. Remember, pulley towards the back of the kayak. It's already got the well nuts on it. Get that one fairly snug. Get this one fairly snug, and then we can crank down on them. Alright, so that one's about as snug as the other one, so we're going to give it a few good cranks. Give this one over here a few good cranks. And she's on there pretty solid. So I'm thinking, before we put our pad eyes, what I want to do is I want to run the line between the pulleys. That way I know where to follow the line for the pad eyes. Now, they recommend when you put the line through the pulley that you come in through the top and you pull back towards the middle of the kayak. Okay? Do the same thing on the opposite side. What I didn't tell you in the beginning part is you need pliers for the crimps on this ring here, okay? What you do is you feed this heat shrinking wrap onto the line, feed the line through the anchor ring, crimp the anchor ring on there with the little crimps that they give you about a ½ inch apart. Slide the shrink wrap back over the top of it, hit it with a lighter, moving the lighter back and forth so as not to burn the plastic shrink wrap. Once you get that hooked on there, you are gonna feed this end of the line through, leaving all of the excess. So we got all the excess on there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pinch it right here so it doesn't slide around. And we are going to just put a simple fisherman's knot in the line. I'm going to tie an improved clinch knot, and it should hold pretty good. We're going to go around one more time. slide in through this hole here. Slide in through that hole there. Pull tight. Cinch it all together. Like that. If you need to, pull some of the slack out. And that feels pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off, tie a knot in it, burn it, and assure that it won't slip through afterwards. So with the anchor line all tied up, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess where I want it without cutting the other rope. And we are going to hit it with a lighter. Melt the ends so they don't fray out. And with that on there, what we can do now is follow this top line, which is going to be our pull line, where we want the pad eyes. I'm thinking we're going to put a pad eye here at the rod holder, and then we're going to put a pad eye up there at the paddle holder. So now that everything's all trimmed up, you can see how the anchor line pulls along the pulleys. Okay. What we want to do is, this is our pull line. The top line is your pull line. So what we want to do is we want to get our pad eyes on here in a manner to keep this line from coming up over the top of the gunnel and doing all that jazz. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a pad eye right here at the rod holder, and then we're going to put a pad eye up front, splitting the difference between the space between two pulleys. We're going to follow this line here, kind of let it snap it and let it do its natural curve. Okay, when we put the pad eye on, we want to go ahead and mark the holes. The pad eyes, according to the directions, need to be slanted towards the center of the kayak. Okay, this is the back of the kayak here. This is the center of the kayak over here. We've got the pad eye at a little bit of a slant. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mark the holes. Boom. And boom. Okay. Mark the hole and drill the hole. No turning back now, folks. That actually didn't dance around as much as I thought it was going to dance around, which is kind of nice. Okay, so we got that drilled. What I want to do from here is grab some silicone, glob some silicone in there, glob some silicone on the back of these here. I want to set that, put my rivets in, and go ahead and crimp my rivets. Alright, so this silicone is actually going to go on white and dry clear. So we're going to go ahead and put a good glob right down in that hole. Mash it in there real good. Make sure you squirt it into the hole. Okay, we got that. What we're going to do is we're going to hit some on the pad eye itself. I don't care if it seeps out, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wipe it with a wet cloth. We got that there. These rivets, I don't think I showed you guys this in the beginning, but these rivets on the top part, they have a rubber gasket. So when you pull it tight, the rubber gasket seals this side of it, but it doesn't seal what's on this side of the kayak. So we're going to go ahead and slide the rivets down in the holes. Boom. Boom. Go in that hole there. Go in that hole there. Mash all that silicone out of there. It's fine. It's totally fine. I'll clean it up later. We are going to take the riveter. Open this joker up here. And I do believe this is the right size already. Up here at the front of the kayak, we're going to do this very same thing. I had the camera cut off on me when I was putting those rivets in that other pad eye, but that's no big deal. We are going to go ahead and do this one, and I'm sure the camera will stay on for this. So let's go ahead and drill. I've already marked my holes and everything. That's where I want my holes to be. Let's go ahead and grab some silicone, 2 rivets, the pad eye, and a rag. We want to goop a bunch of silicone. Make sure you get a good glob down in the hole. Good glob down in the hole. Get some on the back of the pad eyes. Boom shakalaka, like so. Go ahead and feed your rivets into the pad eye holes. And don't do like I did on the last pad eye and forget to run the string through the pad eye before you rivet to the yak. I did that on the last one and it didn't go over so well. I had to untie the knot on the anchor ring and fish it through the pad eye. Come on, baby. Boom shakalaka. Boom shakalaka. Now, like we did on the last one, put the camera shut off. Let's go ahead and wipe up all this silicone. It comes right off. You want to be messy with it because you want to make sure that you waterproof these things the best you can. And also, once it dries, you can peel off. If you get any big chunks or anything like that, like this glob here, just use a screwdriver or something to get it out of there. It'll come right out. Or you can just peel it off later. I did get some on the anchor line. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. This does dry clear, folks. It's white, but dries clear. Okay. Another thing I want to do, as long as the camera's still rolling, hit the middle of the rivet with a good glob. Because after that pin broke off, it leaves a hole there that water can surely seep into. And I did not do this to the back pad eye, so we got to go do that right now. So I got the line fished through this pad eye. We're going to go ahead and hit this center rivet with a little caulking as well, silicone caulking. As far as the silicone goes, a lot of people were saying marine silicone. I tried looking at some boating stores and stuff to find some marine silicone, and all I could find was just plain silicone. So instead of paying that high dollar marine silicone stuff, or getting what they call marine goop, I think that's what they were referring to, was marine goop. I went to, it was either Lowe's or Home Depot, and I bought some kitchen, bath, and plumbing. I think it is made by DAP, Kitchen, Bath, and Plumbing, Easy Clean. Repels water, soap, scum, stains, and dirt. All of that stuff we're going to have out there on the water, except for soap scum. Now that everything is installed, and we can go from the back of the kayak to the front of the kayak, the only thing that we have left to install is the Zigzag cleat. Now the Zigzag cleat is designed to stop the anchor trolley from moving in any direction. Boom. So you have the Zigzag cleat on the side of the kayak, and when you want to stop the anchor trolley in its desired location, you just go ahead and zigzag it like so. I did install the seat to see where I would be sitting and what a good arm's reach would be. And I've already marked the holes, and I think this is where we're going to go with the zigzag cleat. We did notice off camera a moment ago that the riveter will not get down into the zigzag cleat to rivet the cleat. So we are going to have to use the self-tapping screws that come with the kit for the cleat only. I'm a little wary about it, but I'm thinking that I can find a riveter with a more narrow head on it to be able to get down in those areas. Being that I do, I always have the rivets as a backup. So we're going to go ahead and drill 1/8 inch holes, and then we're going to screw these in. We're going to start it with the drill, but we're going to finish it by hand. So 1/8 inch drill bit. I want to make sure that it is straight. So we drilled one side, mark this side, and drill that side. Once again, we want to hit these holes with some caulking. Down in there like that. I'm going to hit the back of the pad eye a little bit. Keep any water from getting in. These are stainless steel screws, so they're not magnetic. You might have a little bit of a hard time getting them started. Once you find the hole, there's one. We'll get number 2 started, or not. Now that we got them started with the drill, we're going to go ahead and snug them up with the Phillips head screwdriver. You just want to get them hand tight. You don't want to crank on them too much. You don't want to strip out the holes. Once you see all that silicone gooping out of there like that, you know you're doing pretty good. And as I like to say, leave well enough alone. That looks pretty decent. Go ahead and clean up all the excess caulking. I'll say it again, though the caulking is white, it does dry clear. Another good thing about this cleat here is if I do ever end up breaking it off with the screws, I can always reach in the hull storage here, and I believe I could probably get my arm up in there to put some nuts and some bolts in there. So that's another option as well. Zigzag cleat is on. That concludes our installation of the YakGear Deluxe Anchor Trolley. As you can see, go all the way to the back with it, all the way to the front with it, and we can zigzag it so it doesn't move at all. Since we are complete, what we'll do is go ahead, hit the water, and give it a test. So we'll see you in a little bit. We'll go give it a test on the water and see how it works out. What's going on, guys? Welcome back. We are out here in Cherry Grove. We're going to go ahead and give this anchor trolley a try today. And we're going to mess around with it. I messed around with it a little bit off camera to make sure everything worked and functioned pretty good. Learned how it worked a little bit. Remember, this is all new to me. We are officially anchored up here in this little channel where people have their docks for their boats and so on. I did make an adjustment to the anchor trolley this morning. I had an idea last night after I shot the video that I wanted a way to be able to remove the anchor without having to feed all that line through the anchor system or the anchor ring. I didn't want to have to feed all the line through and then pull it back out when I wanted to remove the anchor. So what I did is I simply attached a carabiner, aluminum carabiner, so it don't rust, and I hooked my anchor line through that carabiner, and it works just like the ring would. So what we're going to do, we already have the anchor in the water. We're going to slide the anchor all the way to the back. We are going to tie the anchor line off to our cleat, trolley line off to our cleat. Now we're anchored up. There's a little bit of a current pushing into this channel right now, so I have the anchor at the back of the kayak, and it is pushing the front of the kayak that way. Now, if I bring the anchor trolley to the front of the kayak, it's going to swing the rear end of the kayak around, and I'll be facing the opposite direction. It's already starting to pull me around. Go ahead and tie my anchor line off, or my trolley line off, then tie the anchor line off, and now the back of the kayak is going to start swinging this way. Now, one of the other things I've done, and I noticed that you could do, is if you're not interested in pulling the anchor into the back of the kayak or into the kayak every time you want to drop the anchor or pull the anchor up, you simply tie off the trolley line to the zigzag cleat, and now you just pull your anchor up until it hits the back of the kayak, tie the anchor line off to the cleat, and now you can just start paddling. The anchor will just sit and hang right there. If you don't want it bouncing off your kayak, which I haven't found any evidence of it bouncing off the side of the kayak or anything yet. But if you just want to adjust your position for a second, that's a good way to go. If you're going to start paddling for, a mile down the river, then I would recommend probably pulling it up. That is the YakGear Deluxe Anchor Trolley. I got all radio voice with it. That's going to go ahead and conclude our video, guys. We're going to wrap it up here. I will put links in the description below. I got it right this time. I always mess that one up. I don't know why. It always trips over my tongue, and I can't never get it out. But links in the description below. One for the YakGear Deluxe Anchor Trolley. One for the rivets that I used on the pad eyes during this installation. You guys get on there, check them out. You can use those rivets that I bought with any traditional rivet gun that you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. So it's not a big expense. I think you can get one for maybe $10 or $20. And they're always good to have too, so especially if you're doing modifications on your kayak. I will put links to our social media pages in the description below, Instagram and Facebook. If you are not a follower on Instagram or Facebook, I strongly encourage you to do so. We have daily content there that you can check out. Instagram, if you don't do Instagram, I always share to Instagram and Facebook at the same time. So if I'm sharing pictures of my own, I'll put them on Instagram and share them to the Facebook page so you'll be able to see them there. As always, guys, if you liked it, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more of it, hit that subscribe button. I really do enjoy putting these videos out, making these things for you guys, and trying all these different techniques and learning while you watch me learn. So, until the next video, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked it. We'll catch you next time.